My name is Alan Porter. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for Nuxia. I'm joined today by John McCallan and Rudian Pashkopia from Philos IT, and we'll be hearing from them a bit towards the end of the webinar. We're going to talk today about the role of rich media in e-commerce, delivering the right picture to your customers at the right time, at the point they are in the sales cycle is becoming more and more important. And really, we find today that in today's world, and particularly in recent months, over the past year or so, that content has become even more important. Content defines every experience with the brand, particularly in an online world. And people are expecting more and more to interact with rich media that really engages them, is relevant to them, gives them the products that they want to be looking at the point they want to be looking at, gives them the related information. So we need to make sure that we're delivering the right experience through rich media. And we also have to think, is what we're doing just good enough, or is it exceptional? Really, content has become the differentiator these days. Virtually everything else is a commodity. What really differentiates brand is the experience, and being good enough now is not good enough. We need to be delivering exceptional customer experiences and exceptional rich media that is engaging. We need to be leveraging the rich media assets to really make that experience exceptional. So just want to take a quick trip down memory lane. Remember when Amazon used to look like this? It was very text heavy. Probably show my age here, but this is sort of an early memory of Amazon, what it was like. Everything was very textual based. And then when you compare it to today, Amazon is all about imagery. It's all about rich media. It's all about catching your attention with an image and wanting to, getting you to engage and understanding also what you do, delivering the stuff that's relevant to you based on your behavior, based on the time of year, based on a whole bunch of variables. So it's gone from being a static list-based type of interaction to a really exceptional personalized customer experience driven and by rich media, and making sure that that links to the e-commerce platforms that are driving the actual sales behind it. So how do we get there? I think really there's 4 steps that we need to take to get to that point. One is and I call this developing a visual content strategy. I think first off, we have to think about centralizing the vision. We'll talk a bit more about each of these. Digitizing the process. Accelerating your speed to market has become much more important these days. Customers expect things to be available a lot quicker. And then again, providing that exceptional customer experience we just talked about. So I'm going to dive into each of these in a little more detail. So centralizing the vision. We have to think about what our customers want. We have to start taking an outside in point of view. It used to be that websites, and there are still a lot of them out there that are, reflections of the internal structure of a company. You sort of had to know what part of the company made what product to be able to go find it on the website. That doesn't work anymore. Customers don't care about your functional silos. They don't care whether the stuff's coming from marketing, operations, distribution, customer care, sales, finance. To them, every interaction with you is a brand interaction, and it should all be the same. It should be consistent messaging, consistent imagery, and it should relate to where the customer is on the buying cycle. They don't care which department they're dealing with. As far as they're concerned, they're dealing with the enterprise as a brand. So we have to ask ourselves about keeping that in mind, keeping that outside in point of view of, what does our customer expect? What do we want our assets to do? Do we want our assets to showcase our products? Do we want our assets to actually showcase our customers using our products? What business need are we actually trying to use our assets to achieve? Are we trying to engage prospects and lead them to click through and lead capture, or are we helping to educate and help our customers with self-service, thereby reducing support costs? What sort of assets do we want to use? Are we looking at using things like realistic photography, or do we want something that reflects our brand in a more inspirational, abstract way? And where are these assets going to be used? Are we going to use global generic images, or do we actually want to do some localization and regionalization of our assets? And if we do want to do regionalization, how localized do we want to get? Is this on a continent based, a country based, a county or state base? How regional do we want to actually get it with the assets that we're going to use? So these are all questions that we need to think about. And then we need to think about digitizing the process. It's no good having thousands and thousands of images that are scattered across the organization, which may all be digital, but do not have the right metadata around it, or are scattered across different processes. And we need to think about how we actually want to scale up the use of the images. Do some auditing. How many assets do we actually have? Are they spread across different systems? How many of each type do we have? What new types of asset do we need to accommodate? We may be looking at images now, maybe we're starting to build a bit more video, but what's coming down the line? Are we looking at doing something in a retail environment and maybe an e-commerce environment using things like augmented reality? How are we using audio assistants and audio interfaces, and how are we going to link those? So we have to start thinking about those. And then I mentioned, do we have the right taxonomy and metadata around our assets so they actually show up on an e-commerce platform? It's no good having something where, if somebody puts in shoes that a set of boots don't call up because they don't turn up because the only tag on it is boots, not boots and shoes, or something like that. You have to think about those sort of things. And then think about where is the subject matter expertise in your company that can actually help you build that library and the metadata and the taxonomy that sits around it. What are things called within the company? Who can actually make those decisions? And how do you actually work together? And then think about, why do people want to use your assets? So can they find them, and can they use them once they do find them? And then think about your future vision. Have you got new use cases? Have you got customers who are transferring to particular platforms? Are you seeing a particular growth in platform? Are you seeing new applications across the enterprise? I know I've seen certain companies that once they've actually really got their hands around their assets and put the right metadata around it, they've actually been able to generate new revenue streams through the use of their rich media assets. And are you solving your business issues? Are you making sure that you're getting the right information out there that actually improves efficiency, makes operational efficiencies, and improves that customer experience? And are you doing this at a scale and speed that you want to? So one way to address the scale and speed aspects is to use something like artificial intelligence and machine learning to really mine your existing assets. There are generic commodity models out there from people like Amazon and Google and so forth, which will take a look at your existing assets and say things like, this is clothing, or this is jeans, or it's a fashion photo shoot, or it's a jacket. But at Nuxio, we have a product called Nuxio Insight that fits with our digital asset management platform that really allows you to build machine learning models that are specific to your business. So it could do things like go in and actually know who the model is. Celebrity facial recognition works fairly well, but if you just have a group of models who are not celebrities, how do you know how to do those? They may be known to maybe the photographer and a few other people across the organization, but you can teach the machine learning to recognize the models that you're using, and maybe even link to their contracts, so you're making sure that you're using them in the right places, or that their contracts are not out of date. You still have the rights to use their image. And perhaps more importantly, from an e-commerce point of view, you can use machine learning, business-specific machine learning, to actually go in and recognize related products. So, this photograph may have been taken to highlight the jeans jacket, and maybe the metadata just says jean jacket. But if you want to put this image on your e-commerce platform, you maybe want to do some cross-sell and upsell and sell the hat and the jeans and maybe the belt and so forth. So you can use AI and machine learning to go in and find these related products in your imagery and create the link, so you can do that sort of cross-sell and upsell on your e-commerce platform. And then you have to, as I said, think about accelerating speed to market. In today's, particularly retail, e-commerce, people are looking for things to be available a lot quicker. They see something online, they want to be able to go to the merchant's website and find it immediately. They see an article about something, they see a friend recommend something, they want to go find it. If you announce a product, they expect to be able to go order it. Trend-driven industries are moving quicker and quicker and quicker. And times are shrinking. I've heard people talk about when it used to take months or even weeks to get a product on their e-commerce platform, they now have to update them like within 24 hours. So we're really looking at accelerating speed to market. And one way to do this really is to connect your assets to the business systems. This is where the Nuxio platform can really play well. It allows you to link your images to those other systems like your product information management system, your campaign management system. I talked about, recognizing who a model is, connecting that to a talent management system, your e-commerce platforms, and rights management and all that sort of stuff, and making sure that you're turning basically an image of what something is into information and an asset across that flows across the organization. And this is just a typical digital content supply chain for a product manufacturer, and sort of gives 7 touch points, and these are not the only ones, but these are 7 touch points where really rich media can play a big part in actually speeding up the digital content supply chain. All from materials libraries to 3D design, developing campaigns, photo shoots, packaging, content hubs, and of course the e-commerce platform, by linking your assets and making sure that they move across the organization and connected to those business systems with the right metadata so they can be found. So by the time it gets to your e-commerce platform, you've got the right imagery, it goes on sale, it appears on the e-commerce platform on the right day, on the right time, with the right SKUs and the right product options, and the cross-sell and upsell and recommendations added to it. And bringing that all together really means that you can start looking at building an exceptional customer experience. As I said, your customers don't think of you as a bunch of functional silos. They think of you as a brand. So every interaction with the company is a reflection of the brand, and you have to think about things from a brand perspective and from the customer's perspective. So how do you tell your story? When you're thinking about that, you have to think about it, as I said, from an outside-in point of view with the e-commerce platform. How are the assets that you're using helping the customer? Are you answering your questions, customer questions about the products, what products you got available? Are you helping to using your assets to drive transactions on something like an e-commerce platform? Are you providing context for the asset, maybe by showing a customer actually using the product? And you have to think about where these assets are being delivered. We've got more and more channels coming along. Web and mobile is probably a given. If you're a retail outlet that maybe has physical stores in a mall, are you driving your assets to drive digital signage in the mall? Digital signage is everywhere, from seat back screens on planes to screens on gas station pumps. And then screens on Internet of Things, connected devices. Where are you looking at actually using these assets in a digital environment? And as I mentioned, we've got things coming along like augmented reality, which I see a lot of retailers starting to adopt, and maybe virtual reality, and who knows what coming down the line. And I also mentioned audio. And then where are the customers on their journey when they're actually interacting with you? Are they researching the product? Are they ready to buy? Often this is where the customer journey maps, and people thinking about the customer journey stop thinking about the customer. It's all about buying, but think about the customer experience when they actually acquire it. Think about the number of unboxing videos that you see on YouTube. People are actually interested in how something is packaged, and what the experience of actually unpacking it is like and getting to use it. And then what's the experience of actually owning the product? Can your assets help, particularly maybe videos, in terms of how to actually use the product and get it up and running? And then what's the service thing? Can you use rich media asset? Can you use video? Can you use photography? Can you use illustration? Can you use animation to actually help service the product and keep support costs lower, and make the actual long-term experience nicer? And then think about what it is that you're providing. Is what you're providing to the customer timely? Is it relevant? And is it of value to the customer? And if you get all those things right, you can use your assets to deliver a much better customer experience. So really at Nuxio, we are all about really expanding the role of digital asset management across the enterprise, and really placing rich media assets at the center of a digital supply chain that connects your content, your data, and your rich media assets across the organization, delivers exceptional customer experience, and really brings operational improvements. So Nuxio, we have what we call a rational approach. It's really about, for these sort of next generation management of digital assets, it's really about connecting your product data and your content, integrating multiple repositories, bringing everything together from across the organization, extending the value of your existing systems, and then really reducing the time and cumulative effort it takes to actually deliver an improved and consistent customer experience, which actually helps drive bottom line, because you actually get higher customer value and higher retention. So you're actually increasing the value of your content and turning your image assets into real business assets. And with that, I'm going to hand the mic over to John to talk a bit about Filius IT and the relationship with Nuxio, and how that sort of leads into the work that they've been doing with Nuxio and the SAP commerce platform as well. So over to you, John.
John, you're on mute.
Sorry, hello. I probably sounded better when I was mute, but it's good to be invited to take part in the webinar, and I won't keep you too long. Just first of all, a quick intro to who Filius IT are. We're a company based in Dublin with an office also in Zaragoza in Spain. However, through a strong partner network who we work closely with, we in fact claim to have global reach. We believe in having a diverse workforce, which we have, from mainly from both Irish and international homes across Europe, South America, and so on. Our core tools are SAP Commerce Cloud and Nuxio for a rich media management implementation. Next, Alan. A little bit about why we're committed to the Nuxio platform and why it's a strategic platform for us. First of all, it's a cross-cutting technology, which means it serves all business processes, not just e-commerce. So it makes sense to extract that element of process from the e-commerce environment and set it on a strategic stage. And that's what Nuxio allows us to do for our customers. Next. What is key in very large organizations in particular is having a single source of truth for their branding and messaging. This is because these organizations are typically very complex. So there are multiple locations in multiple countries. There are multiple subsidiaries, various departments, and so on. So when you change your branding or change your key messages, you want that to be reflected across the organization when you want it. And that can happen if you implement a cross-organizational platform such as Nuxio that provides that single branding and that single source of truth. That's so important to our customers. From a technical point of view, the Nuxio platform is Mac architected, which means that it's built on microservices. These are small web services that have typically implement a single task. Each of these has an API, so it's reachable, addressable via a service through which whatever information that API needs to consume or that service needs to consume can be passed. It's built for the cloud, so it's cloud ready. Therefore, it's modern, it's scalable, and so on. And finally, it's headless. Now, we think of headless. Please don't think of headless as being just a big bundle of back-end services that have somehow avoided the necessity for any front end or a logic. This is not the case actually. So the platform will provide the necessary management front end for content in a complex enterprise environment. But next, Alan there. What it means is that as a result of this architecture, you have minimum downtime. That means you can, change services on the go, keeping the platform up. You can replace services and so on. It's very connectable because of APIs. You can innovate around the conversational or at the conversational level. In other words, at the user level. So you can route your logic via these individual microservices by logically connecting those to create new applications. And in that way, it's an application enabler. It's for all media types, video, images, documents, everything really can be supported via the Nuxio platform. It's called, in fact, a content services platform, probably with a focus on DAM though. Next, Alan. It supports full lifecycle management from creation of media and other content to archiving or replacement of those or their deletion. So, through a workflow process, which again is an element of the platform, you have full lifecycle management for all content. Next, Alan. Indeed, you can program your workflows, you can create changes, comment, approve, and so on. And you have with it a full audit trail, which is available particularly and useful in lots of business processes. For example, in the case of compliance, this is exceptionally important. In terms of binding in your partners, the technology provides technically the means to identify particular external data stores as being part of your extended network. So for instance, you can designate designers, consultants, and so on as being part of your overall extended enterprise. And in this way, work with an enlarged personnel that are committed to your corporate objectives and have that reflected in your technology platform. Finally, Alan. Okay, so it's suitable for all organization sizes, and working in an economy such as that in Ireland, this is extremely important. So it can scale easily from very large to very small. It's performant. You can provide whatever resources are needed to reach the performance levels that you need, and the cloud provides that facility. And then it's multifaceted in terms of providing, for different languages and so on. Next slide, Alan. Thanks. So that's it from me. I'm going to hand over now to Rudin Piscopia, who's a senior technical analyst and developer with Phyllis IT, and he's going to bring you through the demo of the integration of SAP Commerce Cloud with Nuxio. And you'll be able to see from this process how we've leveraged the Nuxio platform, particularly its APIs and microservices, to easily achieve that. Thanks, Rudin.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Alan. I'm going to enable showing my screen. And this is a video presentation which can be found actually can be found in the Nuxio marketplace for the SAP Commerce Connector. I'm going to walk you through the contents of the presentation and the feature set that's currently provided for the Nuxio connector. The aim of this version of the connector is to provide all the necessary tools for a bidirectional integration between a Nuxio instance, a Nuxio installation, and your SAP Commerce production environment. We are going to play the video, and the first feature that we are going to display is the upload of local media. So basically, if your CMS content manager or content employee has access to SAP Commerce back office, he can easily upload the desired media to the Nuxio platform and receive a usable media instance, which can be assigned to products, CMS content banners, or whatever other item you may need. As you can see from the video, the setup is a simple SAP Commerce backoffice wizard in which the user can use a dialog box to upload JPG, MPEG, or whatever media file, set up the identifier with the associated catalog version, and add so-called Nuxio tags for identification in the future. When the process is finished, the process will not only upload the file to the Nuxio instance, but provide several instances matching all the Nuxio format that you have previously set up in the system. So you might want your small image, you want a landscape image, a full HD detail, or even a thumbnail. As we can see from the video, the system correctly set up a new URL, which is fully integrated with the SAP Commerce Media System and can be used in all the steps of the pipeline. For this part of the presentation, we're going to see how CMS Content Manager can browse and select images residing into the into the Nuxio platform and assign them to a particular instance of an item in SAP Commerce, like a product, a banner, another CMS item. As we can see, media items are enriched by this icon, which opens the so-called Nuxio document browser. By using the browser, the user can select and view all the media items currently residing into the Nuxio DAM installation and preview them with the details on the right side. Filtering can be done for content ID, for name, and whatever tag system you might have set up. Selecting the image will create a so-called media instance into SAP Commerce, and as we can see in this case, we always have a Nuxio reference. So the URL is dynamically elaborated and can be used on the CMS, on emails, on the storefronts, and on all the locations of the SAP Commerce. For this last part of the video, we want to address the bidirectionality of the integration, and in fact, we provide with the connector the tools for a system-wide migration of media from SAP Commerce to Nuxio. So if you have an existing SAP Commerce installation with several media already set up, you can decide to migrate those items into Nuxio fairly easily. First, you select your type, product, banner, image, and your catalog version. Secondly, in the second part of this wizard, the user is able to select which attributes containing media objects have to be migrated. So you might want to migrate some or all of your current media attributes. Subsequently, you can further customize your migration by addressing the tags and the name to be used for the files in Nuxeo. We provide two types of migration: attribute migration and format migration. For attribute migration, you can set up dependencies from between two SAP Commerce media attributes. For example, your thumbnail might be a rendition of your main original picture. For the format migration, the user can set up mappings between SAP Commerce formats and Nuxeo formats. When the wizard is concluded, you can see that an asynchronous cron job is created and it starts on running state, starting the migration. Once the migration is finished, the cron job will report a finished state with the option of viewing failed results for logging and retry. As we can see right now, we can browse to one of the migrated products, and in the multimedia tab of the product, we can browse the attributes which have been migrated. This works for both media and media containers. As we can see in this part, the URL is set up correctly, and if we switch to the storefront, to this accelerator sample storefront, and we inspect the element, we can see that the image was indeed sourced from your Nuxeo DAM instance and not from SAP Commerce. Thank you for your time. This is the overview of the current feature set of the Nuxeo connector for SAP Commerce.